Welcome back to Orange Blossom Healing, the channel where I am excited to help you feel better with diet and lifestyle. Today we are going to delve into the next part of our cycle. So from day 11 to day 15, that's ovulation. So stick around if you want to learn about what's going on with your hormones during those days and how to support them with food. Let's get to it. So today I am making a version of a pho. I have my chicken broth, which I made yesterday, just heating up here. And if you want to check out how to make that, you can see one of my reels on Instagram or YouTube. I also have my water boiling ready to poach my egg here. And then in this pan, I just have a little drizzle of sesame oil. And I'm going to start off with some chopped garlic and ginger. Both of these are some of nature's most amazing medicine. They are preventative of so many diseases. They really both reduce inflammation in the body. So low-grade chronic inflammation is a real cause of disease nowadays, and these guys are great at reducing it. Obviously, as with all foods, when we cook them, we reduce their properties a little bit. So I'm going to keep the cooking to a low medium heat and very minimal. So before I get started with my veg, I'm actually going to throw in a couple of spoonfuls of organic gelatin. I add this to my broth just because it thickens them up a little bit, adds huge amounts of clean protein to the dish. Okay, so I'm going to throw in my garlic and my ginger. And I'm also adding in here to the veg about half a teaspoon of sumac. This is a Middle Eastern spice. It's deep purple in color and it is the most antioxidant rich spice on the planet. So it's amazing for fighting disease and preventing disease. And it has this kind of citrusy kick. So I'm also adding lemongrass and lime to this dish because I love those citrusy flavors. And this just is another layer of complexity. So I'm adding that in now so that the ginger and the garlic really take the flavor. This dish is quite a quick one. So whilst we're getting these things warming up, I'm just going to talk to you about day 11 to day 15. So we're entering ovulation here. We talked in another video about day 1 to 10 and how estrogen is building during those days, ready for ovulation. Obviously, the body's objective at this time is fertility, is to create a baby. And so what's going on is this perfect combination of your sex hormones. Your estrogen peaks, bringing in all of these neurotransmitters, making you verbally creative, giving you mental clarity, making you very sociable and outgoing. You also have testosterone peaking at this time. So testosterone brings libido, it brings motivation, and it brings drive, helping us to really get things done. And at the same time, we have a little bit of progesterone, our other sex hormone, which really helps to keep us calm. So we're this perfect balance and really the best version of ourselves. We're also at our most beautiful. So our hair is fuller, our skin is clearer, and we're really made to be focusing on fertility at this time. So what do those hormones need? Well, we talked in the previous video about how estrogen needs us to keep a ketogenic or ketobiotic diet. So focusing on our proteins and our vegetables and keeping carbs really low. And that's true of testosterone as well, but progesterone is coming in here and progesterone wants a little bit of carb. So this is the perfect dish to meet all of our sex hormones needs. I can see that the ginger and garlic are bubbling there with the sumac, so I'm going to throw my kale in. I stripped the kale from the stems just because the stems are really stiff and quite difficult to chew. It makes for a nicer eating experience to have them out. So I'm going to mix these in and just allow them to soften for a couple of minutes. All dark leafy greens add tons of minerals to our dish. So you've got iron and lots of magnesium from kale, as well as its own plant protein. And being a green veg, lots of those phytonutrients that help different areas of our body. Kale has often been hailed as a superfood, and that is because it really does contain a real plethora of benefits when we eat it. So it's an easy one to add, but you don't want to cook it too much to reduce the extent of those benefits. To my kale, I am just going to add a splash, and this is probably 3 tablespoons of tamari, which tamari is a version of soy sauce. It's an organic version of soy sauce, so it's just a cleaner product. Often soy products are treated with the most pesticides. So if you can buy alternatives or organic versions, I really would recommend that just to avoid that pesticide content. Pesticides are one of the many toxins that can stop us from becoming insulin sensitive. So they can block the receptor sites around our cells and cause problems with our insulin system, delivering glucose from our food to our cells. And so it's really good to avoid the toxins as much as possible. Whilst I have those guys cooking, I've got my water boiling for a poached egg. So I'm just going to put that on. It only takes a couple of minutes to poach an egg. And I'm gonna add my lemongrass just for that extra citrusy flavor to the broth whilst it's just bubbling away with the gelatine there. So whilst we are ovulating, like I said, we are our best selves. This is the perfect time to socialize. It is the perfect time to go on a date night with your partner. It is when you are at your most fun, your most creative, and your most outgoing. It is not a good time to drink alcohol. So we want to be really kind to our liver and to our gut at this time, which are working really hard to detox out the hormones that we have metabolized, used, and we need to get rid of. We really don't want to be storing hormones that we are done with, like estrogen, because they tend to store in fatty tissue around our breasts and other areas where they might develop into hormonal cancers. So it's really important to support our detoxification pathways and expel these from our system. That's why we're adding lots of citrus to this dish, which is excellent for detoxification. And also coriander is wonderful for detoxing. It's a great blood balancer and it has a ton of other antioxidant properties. Now that my kale has softened a little, I'm going to also add in my mushrooms. So I have a mix of the specialty mushrooms you can get in most supermarkets now. I'm just gonna add a few of those in. Mushrooms have such an amazing breadth of benefits. So they are real food for our brains. They give us incredible focus, concentration, capacity to learn, capacity to memorize. And depending on the mushroom, they also have a lot of other benefits. And of course, they taste amazing. So they're a really good one to add into any kind of broth or pho. If you wanted to create this dish vegan, you could use obviously a vegetable broth and you don't need to add in the gelatin. That is completely an extra for protein. But if you were using a vegetable broth, I would probably add lentils just to up the ante with the protein. So it's really important to feed that estrogen and testosterone plenty of protein. And that's how I'd get it if I was aiming for a vegan broth. Okay, so now these guys have softened in the pan. I'm going to remove my lemongrass and I'm gonna add them directly to the broth. And I'm just gonna, on a really low heat, give those a couple of minutes to mix in. And now that this is boiling, I am just going to add it directly to my bowl. So I have some rice noodles in here. I've gone for the thicker ones, but the thin ones work really well too. And because they really don't need any time at all to cook, I like to just pour my broth boiling directly onto them and give it a couple of minutes to sit before I enjoy it. Some people prefer to strain out the ginger and the garlic, but you get more of their nutrient benefit if you eat them. So, and I love the flavor, so I just leave them in for crunch. My rice noodles have now softened beautifully, and I'm going to add my poached egg, which just took a few minutes in the pan. This is obviously extra protein. It's also choline. It's not a complete necessity. You don't have to add the egg if you're vegan, but if you have the option and you enjoy eggs, it goes really nicely in this pho. And then always as a topping, I would add chili to taste, of course, depends how spicy you like things. So I have some red chilies there. Spring onion is also a wonderful detoxer. So all the onion family is brilliant for every cell, every mitochondria within your cell. It benefits from the detoxification properties of onion, but also your liver and your gut that we talked about before that need to be really healthy from day 11 to day 15 in your ovulation period will benefit from onion. So that's a perfect addition. Lime to taste. So I'm a big fan of citrus. We've got our sumac in there. We've got our lemongrass, and I'm also going to add some lime, fresh, for extra flavor. And then of course, One of the real stars of the show is coriander. And I'm just going to break off like that and top, and I will stir that in before I eat it. But that dish is beautiful throughout your cycle. If you ate it without the rice noodles, you'd eat this in day 1 to 10 as well, but they really add just a level of comfort and warmth. So from day 11 to day 15, when you are ovulating and you are at your best, this dish is the perfect way to support your hormones. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that helps, and I'll see you next time. Bye.